Welcome to the Regional District of Okanagan-Similkameen Emergency Operations Center flood update for December 10th, 2021. I'm Erick Thompson. I'm an information officer with the Regional District of Okanagan-Similkameen EOC, the Emergency Operations Center, based here in Penticton. The RDOS would like to acknowledge the homelands of the Indigenous peoples of this place we now call British Columbia and honor the many territorial keepers of the lands on which we work. Now, as we get started in just a moment, Amanda Anderson with Interior Health will join us. She'll be talking about flood recovery, including well water, septic systems, and mold, and a lot more. We will have time for questions and answers toward the end of this broadcast with the media members who are joining us. We'll also be joined by representatives with the Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure and Health Emergency Management BC. We have some RDOS board members who will be joining us as well, including the chair of the regional district and the director for Electoral Area A, Rural Osoyoos, Mark Pendergraft. Thank you very much for joining us today, as well as all of our guests and the media and all those of you who are watching on the RDOS YouTube channel. Well, it is difficult to fully appreciate the challenges that are being faced by many of the people who are watching this, the hardships caused by flooding. It's important to understand that RDOS staff, contractors, and many volunteers are working throughout the region. They'll continue working and will continue to provide as much information, keep you informed throughout this entire process as the recovery continues over the months ahead. This WebEx event is being recorded. It will be available on the RDOS YouTube channel as well if you'd like to watch after. And we'd also like to remind you that if you're looking for any updates from the Regional District Emergency Operations Center, you can go to emergency.rdos.bc.ca or the RDOS website, www.rdos.bc.ca. Let's get started now. Amanda is with Interior. Lost my list of who you're with again. But anyway, Amanda, we'll get you to start off if you can. And I know with flood recovery, there are so many challenges that we have to be aware of, and some that can be potentially hazardous. So I'll ask you just to share what you can with us, and then we'll, if there are any questions from the media, we'll jump in at that point.
Hi, thanks. So I'm Amanda Anderson with Interior Health. I'm a team leader with the environmental assessment team. So I just wanted to start off here acknowledging that returning home can be a very traumatic event, especially for small children. So if you haven't had a moment to go into the homes, just keep that in mind, that you wouldn't want to have a big trip with lots of people, maybe one or two, just to go in and have a look around. Really recommend and encourage you to prepare yourself for that trip in and to plan and document. So you can conduct an assessment. You might find a placard there if the regional district has provided an assessment, and that way you can make a plan depending on what that status is. So when you're preparing and planning to go back in, it's really important for you to go back with a fully charged cell phone, a camera, pen and paper, and then you can start the documentation process for insurance. And if you don't have insurance, there is Red Cross available as a resource. And we do have a link to Red Cross on our website. And in the chat box there, I have the Interior Health website there that I will be referring to. So we do encourage for you to check with your local government, which would be the RDOS, in regards to your water system and also the status. So some people might be on a do not consume, some people might be on a boil water notice. So it's important for you to check out that status so that you can understand what you can use for your water and how to use it. Also encouraged to check out some of the local services such as hydro, gas for guidance. To ensure that you are safely entering your home and also that you're able to safely use your equipment. The other piece for coming into your home is to bring lots of potable water, not just for drinking, but also some safe water and cleaning supplies so that you're able to start the hard work of cleaning up. There are a lot of resources on the Interior Health website, and also a lot of there's a lot of resources on the HEMBC website, and that includes cleaning up after a flood, disinfecting your well, some food safety resources, information on sewage systems, and for cleaning. If your power was cut off for more than 3 hours, be prepared of the contents of your fridge and freezers. If your power was out for a significant amount of time, you might want to have the option of duct taping it closed, and then contact your insurance provider, as they will require information before you dispose of anything. When it comes to your own individual well, we do recommend that you shock your well or disinfect your well. There is information on our website on how to do that. There's a provincial document that will guide you through disinfecting your drinking water. From there on, you can sample your water to find out more information on the safety of it. If you have any questions in regards to disinfection of your well or collecting water samples, you can contact your local environmental health officer. And I think the closest health unit is Penticton. In regards to your septic system, there might be some damage to it. So we recommend talking with an authorized person. So that would be a registered on-site wastewater practitioner or an engineer in regards to any damage if you've had a look around for the assessment. You want to make sure that you're not using your sewage system until all the water in your disposal field has lowered than the water level around your house. When it comes to cleanup, lots of soap and water and elbow grease. You can wear gloves and other personal protective equipment, goggles, things like that, and make sure that you change your clothes when you return to where you're staying so that you're not contaminating your environment. When it comes to flooding, there is that issue of potential for mold. So you want to make sure that you're removing any kind of standing water and any items that can't thoroughly be cleaned and sanitized, that you dry them out as soon as possible. So carpets, mattresses, upholstery, things like that. And you also would want to reduce the humidity as much as possible. I know that this is a little bit of a challenging time because there is snow on the ground now and there's lots of moisture around. But I would like to really emphasize to everybody to take a lot of breaks, pace yourself, and reach out for help. If it's really overwhelming, there are restoration companies out there as well, and really look after your mental health. So reach out for resources. There's lots of resources on our website as well, and also the Canadian Mental Health Association. So please take care of each other, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Amanda. I'm going to see if there are any questions from the media. We have a few members of the media who are joining us, and if we have any, I see Joe Fry's there from the Penticton Herald. Joe, do you have any questions on that? No. We'll keep going then. I did want to mention, thank you, by the way, Amanda. That information is helpful, and I know for a lot of residents who are impacted by flooding, there are some very specific concerns that they have, and we always invite those residents to contact the RDOS directly, and we'll see if we can put you in touch with the resources you need. As you mentioned, checking the website, but also that Tulameen Resiliency Center is open again on Sunday. That's open from 10 till 2, and that's at the Tulameen Community Center. A lot of information and resource material available there as well. I wanted to take a moment to welcome Sue McCordoff, who is with us now. She is the mayor of Osoyoos and also a board member, of course, with the RDOS, and Tim Roberts, who is the director for Area G, which is rural Keremeos. He's joining us as well. So thank you very much. And as I mentioned earlier, we have the chair of the RDOS, Mark Pendergraft. Next up, it looks like we'll go to Erick Lachmuth. Erick is with the Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure, and he is a district manager. Now, transportation throughout this whole flooding event since it began in mid-November has been a very big challenge, and I want to take a moment to recognize the crews and all of the people, including the contractors, AIM Roads, and all the people who are working to keep those roads open and keep them safe. Erick is joining us now to talk a bit about some of the considerations and provide any new information that might be available. Erick, go ahead, please.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. I guess just a quick update on how things are going. Highway 3, we've had open as the primary corridor for all commercial traffic going from the Lower Mainland to the interior of BC and beyond. So this is kind of a vital link, as we know, when it was cut off for quite some time, and we had some challenges with essential goods getting through. So one of our primary goals is keeping that going, which is in line with the essential travel order that is still in place on that corridor. So we've seen really good uptake from the public on respecting the essential travel order that's in place. We receive approximately double the amount of commercial vehicles through that corridor than we do essential travelers and passenger vehicles. Just to give a bit of a sense, we've got approximately 1,300 vehicles, commercial vehicles, in each direction that travel through the Highway 3 corridor between Hope and Princeton every day. And of those 1,300 commercial vehicles that are coming in from the Lower Mainland, we find 78% of them approximately are heading northbound on Highway 5A at the Princeton junction there. The other 22% are continuing east on Highway 3 and heading to other communities beyond there as their destination. So we've just been analyzing and discovering more about these traffic patterns so that we can do our best to respond and keep safe folks traveling on the corridor, including all of the other users, of course, that still use this corridor for their day-to-day activities. Heading in for this weekend, we do have a travel advisory on for both Highway 3 and Highway 99, which are the two corridors that are open linking to the Lower Mainland. The travel advisory is in relation to heavy snowfall that's expected starting this evening and into tomorrow. So in addition to the essential travel order that's in place, we are advising folks if they can avoid traveling during this time to do so. However, our contractor will be equipped and aware of this storm to give a sense for the folks in this area. We're anticipating about 30 centimeters of snow during the event on Allison Pass through Highway 3 corridor there. So pretty substantial snowfall. We're expecting a lot less is going to be hitting to the east of the mountain ranges there. So in Princeton, I've seen anywhere from kind of 2 centimeters to 10 centimeters floated around as the expectation. But with Mother Nature in a year like this, it's hard to predict exactly what we'll get. So we just prepare for the worst, and our contractor is ramping up resources to be prepared for that. As far as the flooding sites go, we do have a couple of key sites on Highway 3 that are still in the works to the east of Princeton. We're working on a breached berm area 12 kilometers east of Princeton, which has flooded 3 times since starting with the initial event, November 14th, 15th there. So we are reconstructing that berm area, working with the RDOS, working with HEMBC, getting partnership from everybody, and reestablishing what was in place with some large rock and materials that will help protect the highway and will appear to also protect some of the land in the area at that breach point. We also have a site approximately 6 kilometers east of Princeton, which is probably hard to tell as you just drive by, but we found during some aerial footage that there's some erosion at that location. So we've been dropping some riprap in there right now to protect it, and we may go back in during lower water times to tidy that up. But we're not anticipating any closures will be required for that. As we work on that breach dam area that I mentioned, the breach dike area, 12 kilometers east of Princeton, I don't believe we'll have further than maybe single lane alternating required while we do that work. So we're not anticipating full closures, and the work may take place as early as tomorrow, depending on how all the paperwork goes for getting our kind of permitting and things in place to work in that area. We have also a number of side road sites. We understand that there are certainly folks that are living on side roads that are impacted by the many sites that occurred in relation to our infrastructure. In total, we received between 40 and 50 total sites that require a variety of repairs. Some as simple as just some shoulder erosion to fix up, but others far more substantial, such as replacement of bridges that we have in certain areas. So our contractor has been busy working and restoring access for a number of landowners. One of the most recent ones being on Tulameen River Road, where we have a alternate alignment that was constructed through there. And we were able to work with the landowner to reconstruct that alignment and get that in place and provide access. And then we found some sites beyond there that we have started working on. There's one last site with one landowner beyond that we are still working on there. We have Stevenson Creek Road, where there's 3 landowners that are impacted by the closure there. And we are still looking at options from our engineers on how best to reestablish that access safely. There's some pretty tough constraints on that site. So we anticipate we'll have some more information soon on that one so that we can get that reestablished. And those are kind of the primary ones that are significantly impacting folks on side roads. But I'm more than happy to take any comments, questions. Maybe I'll just add real quick as well that we have established a temporary rest area in the Princeton area west of Princeton at Wright Pit with porta potties and garbage receptacles to help support the commercial vehicles that are on the corridor. We are paying our contractor extra money for enhanced maintenance on the corridor, knowing the traffic that is relying on this corridor to be open. And we also have additional presence of commercial vehicle safety enforcement staff, as well as the RCMP, that are assisting us with the corridor and ensuring that it's safe.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Eric. I'll ask our media panelists if they have any questions, and then I have a couple of questions I wanted to put your way. Let's start with Joe Fries with the Penticton Herald. Go ahead, Joe.
Thank you. Eric, you're probably aware there's a petition started by a group of concerned citizens in Caledon. They're asking for immediate improvements to the Highway 3, Highway 97 junction, and potentially lowered speed limits, Highway 97 coming into Penticton. Is the ministry going to respond to those requests for help?
Yeah, you bet. We've made some minor signage enhancement in the area, and we also have some staff that are out there doing counts currently, and we have had them for the past 2 days, I believe, that are understanding all the movements and the delay times for each of those movements so that we can get a really good understanding of what the concerns are right now and respond appropriately. We have a design team that is forming, as actually formed already, that is also looking at options. So when we get that information from the folks that are doing the counts at the actual site, it'll feed into our design team to see if we have something that that can be put into place that will assist that intersection.
Follow up, Joe?
Yeah, thank you. Can you give people a sense of time? Like, how long is this work going to take? Is it going to be days, weeks, months? Because their concern is it's pressing right now with all this increased traffic today.
Yeah, it is. I don't have a firm time frame because we need to understand the problem. Currently, our latest set of counts showed a peak of approximately 15 commercial vehicles per hour at that intersection, making the left-hand turn movement from Highway 3A onto 97, which is the movement of concern that was brought to our attention. And the delay times were between 30 and 50 seconds to make that turn movement. So we have drafted up a potential major lane reconfiguration temporary setup to potentially help there, but it is a large undertaking of traffic control devices and changes in the area that we are verifying, whether that is the best solution there, whether it's warranted given those delay times and the turning movements that are happening, or if we should focus on more of a long-term solution for that intersection.
All right, thank you very much for the questions, Joe. I don't see any other media questions. Eric, really, when we talk about transportation corridors anywhere, it really does come back to the individual drivers. And I wanted to get a sense from you of what you're seeing, what you're hearing. Are most people who are using these temporary corridors. In a sense, it's temporary for them, Highway 3 and 99 that you mentioned, where we're funneling more traffic in. Are most people following the traffic rules, following the speed limits, or do we have a high percentage of people that are just driving as though they're on the Coquihalla Highway?
I'd say for the most part that we're getting, people are doing the right thing. But of course, it's the minority that aren't doing the right thing that really stand out to us. I know that lots of us are probably familiar with that video that was taken on Highway 5A of the semi that was passing in a very dangerous manner. And so we, of course, had to have our CVSE folks in conjunction with the RCMP follow up on that, because that's the kind of behavior that we need to ensure does not happen out there. So, of course, our staff in the RCMP can't be everywhere all at once along the corridor, but they have definitely shifted from more of a, at the beginning of this, it was a sense of we want to make sure goods are moving and everything is efficient, to now we're very much more focused also on ensuring that people are acting safely out there, and enforcement is stepping up to make sure that that's happening, because we don't want any safety concerns. And we had challenges with incidents causing closures on that corridor, and it's pretty disastrous for us when we have to close the corridor for long periods of time to all that traffic, and then the ripples of impact that occur as a result of that. So knock on wood, we've been very successful recently with keeping good flow going. We're paying tow trucks to be on standby, as I mentioned, the additional maintenance that we're paying through there as well, and that additional enforcement. So I think the message is getting out there to folks. We're stopping people at the checkpoints, informing them about the essential travel order, and really just the importance to take your time, drive slowly, drive to conditions, especially now that winter is setting in, and we'll all get to the destination we're looking for.
Excellent. Thank you, Eric. Joe, I see you still have your hand up. I don't know if that was a leftover hand. Wanted to mention that just quickly, in a moment, we'll hear from Provincial Psychosocial Program Health Emergency Management Representative, and we'll be talking about that component, which is something that I think when flooding happens isn't always top of mind, unless, of course, you're impacted by flooding. Then, of course, that, it's difficult to even comprehend how challenging it can be to be flooded out. But we'll talk about that in just a moment. One more quick question for you then, Eric. When we talk about essential travel, I'm wondering if you can give anyone watching a sense of what that means, because I've heard many people mention they have to go to Vancouver for a children's hockey tournament or for a medical appointment. What should people keep in mind? What would they need to bring with them to prove what essential travel looks like for them so they don't get turned back?
Yeah, thanks for the question. I think the big thing is just really taking that time to ask yourself whether the travel that you need to take here is essential. If it's just a simple matter of, hey, I've got a work meeting and I'm deciding I want to drive there to take that meeting rather than doing it virtually, which is an option, then that is not considered essential under that banner. But if your line of work and what you do is essential for providing care for people, communities, and important things that need to happen right now, then of course that's essential. One of the challenges we run into with our checkpoints there, which have the RCMP assistance in manning those checkpoints for the most part, is just making sure that we're interpreting, and being mindful of the needs of folks that are traveling the corridor. And for the most part, there's been very few folks that have been turned around for not being essential, because I think people are doing the right thing and taking that sober second look at whether they need to travel right now, and the delays and the challenges that are on the corridor. So for the most part, people are doing the right thing. It's rare to get turned around, and it's generally something very obvious that would get you turned around. One example I can think of was somebody was going to purchase a violin that they wanted to see in person. So that person was turned around and sent back. I forget which direction it was from. But barring incredibly obvious things like that people are kind of self-identifying anyways, people are generally able to get through that are being thoughtful about getting through.
Erick Lachmuth is with the Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure. Erick, thank you very much. That was an excellent update. I feel as though that's the type of information people are looking for at this time. If you're able to stay with us, we will have another Q&A toward the end of this. But if you do have to leave the broadcast, I understand you are incredibly busy, as everyone else is who's taking part today. So let's move on now to, and I apologize, Margaretha, if I say your name wrong. I haven't had a chance to talk to you in advance. Margaretha Lundh, she's the manager, Provincial Psychosocial Program with Health Emergency Management BC, or HEMBC, with the Provincial Health Services Authority. And Margaretha, is that the correct way to say your name? Margaretha's here. Oh, there she is. You're still on mute, Margaretha. And we'll just double check there that it's not coming from our end. And let's double check here. It wouldn't be a WebEx or Zoom meeting without the old mute issue. Margaretha, I'll just double check with you. Yeah, I can see that you're muted, so we'll make sure it's not on our end. But anyway, while we're doing that, we'll just jump in anytime if you're able to get your audio. I wanted to mention as well, I said this at the outset, you know, we do these briefings, we send out information releases through the regional district all the time. The idea is to keep everyone informed. If there's information you're not getting, information that you feel should be sent out, please don't hesitate to contact the regional district of Okanagan-Similkameen and provide that information, that feedback, because it is helpful. And I want to say this again, that the RDOS understands that many people who are watching this are going through some significant hardship due to flooding, and it's certainly something that it's hard to put ourselves in your shoes, but there are a lot of people who are working very hard to make sure that the flood recovery goes well. And that includes elected officials, it includes volunteers. And we'll continue to do so, and we'll continue to provide information when it becomes available to ensure that this is a situation that doesn't become worse. And I think we might have Margaretha now. It sounds like we're hearing some sounds.
Can you hear me now?
I can. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank goodness. Oh, gosh. Okay. Thank you for your patience. So, yes, I am with HEMBC, and just to let you know, so many of the service agencies, we're all working together to make sure that we can get you supports, and that we're all tied in together to make sure that messaging is the same. And I know you had mentioned about mental health and related to flooding, but you know, we know BC, we've just had such a tough couple of years, and you know, add COVID in as well, that you don't have to be in a disaster situation to be reaching out for any help. So I have a flyer that I'm going to forward to you that you can post on your website that'll include all of these numbers. But I think the most important are a couple of pieces that I want to let you know about. So first of all, anybody that's having a difficult time can call the mental health line, which is actually feeds into the BC crisis lines. And that number, you don't need an area code, it's 310-6789. So 310-6789. So all of the crisis lines of BC, they can feed into this one number. You don't have to call a regional line. And please don't think of it as 911, that you have to be in some dire emergency. You can just be having a very, very tough time. And a lot of people don't want to burden their coworkers or their spouses, their family, and these people are there to help. They're also great at connecting you to local resources if you need them, and for further support as well. So they are working diligently, and everybody's got a lot of resources that we're all sharing. So that's the biggest message of all, is not to hesitate to reach out. Also, agriculture, AgSafe BC, for people that are impacted, that are, you know, direct impacts for their industry. So owners and staff, contractors, they've got a number of wellness contacts locally as well. So they've got some things posted for those who want to be very ag specific. So on their ag safe, the just agsafe.bc.ca, mental dash wellness, but you can find it from the front page. So they've got a lot of ones for people who want very industry specific support as well. Also, Wellness Together is wellnesstogether.ca. That is a group that's it's national really, and it's supported by Health Canada. It's funded by Health Canada, and I've had a lot of conversations with them the last couple of days. They have on their front page have put a quick a link to BC specific resources. So we're all in, as I said, we're all in the sync, taking you back to those specific numbers and BC Emergency Info BC to make sure that we all are connected. But they can also provide counseling, and it's free of charge. So, and I know that's been a barrier for a number of people saying, I can't afford any counseling. So for those who want more than just the initial, discussion and diffusing with somebody on the crisis line, the mental health line, the 310-6789, they can go to wellnesstogether.ca. So if you Google that, and we'll have the link on, but it's very simple, wellnesstogether.ca. The banner right at the top will take you to all the resources that you need. So you can do that by calling in and talking to a counselor, and they say they have capacity to connect you with somebody fairly quickly. And there's also text messaging. There's Indigenous specific resources as well. So lots and lots of resources that are out there right now. And we don't want you to hesitate to use them, because it's far better to do it now when you're having stress, to keep that stress lower so it doesn't accumulate. And that really includes a lot of people that are working, service providers and people like ourselves, right? We all, we're working to get everything else done, but we don't realize how much our own stress is impacted. And I've actually on that Wellness Canada, they do have where you can do your own assessment, and every 2 weeks they'll send you a reminder. And I've actually been tracking my own mental health and wellness all through COVID, and it's been very helpful to me and fascinating to see, wow, I was in really rough shape in March, what was going on then, and I did a lot better in September. So it'll give you a graph, it'll give you all kinds of information about how you're doing as well, and also lots and lots of resources. So we want you to take advantage of this now. And as I said, we'll have the flyer out for you, and also going into communities that are impacted both now, but particularly in the new year. It may get tough after the holidays and into January, and that reality hits even more. And we will have a number of initiatives that we can roll out in your community, either with ourselves. We have a course that we can provide once a week, and we can do that virtually, in some places possibly in person, but that's Wellness Exchange, and that offers great skills such as problem solving. But a lot of people, it's 5 basic sales skills, but very, very helpful in so many ways, and for resiliency, and just comparing notes with others as well. And CMHA also has a course, Living Life to the Full. So lots of things that we can roll out in the communities in the new year. So we're looking forward to working with impacted communities. And I'll be quiet now, but that's the big messages. Please don't hesitate to reach out, and I'll make sure you have that flyer so you can post it on your website. Thanks.
And we will post that on the RDOS website, www.rdos.bc.ca. Also on the Emergency Operations Center website, emergency.rdos.bc.ca. Thank you very much for that update. I'll give that number out again that you mentioned for anyone who may want to talk to someone or connect with some resources to do with mental health or any other issues that may be challenges you're facing right now. 310-6789. That's 310-6789. And I don't see any media questions at this point. So I think what we're going to do is wrap up with just a quick around the horn, as they say, if anyone wanted to jump in with any comments or questions. I know Director Roberts had asked in our chat if there were any planned road closures, proactive road closures on Highway 3 due to that coming storm. And Erick has mentioned, Erick Lachmuth from the Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure, that it's important before you travel to check Drive BC. That's drivebc.ca to see if there are any updates or concerns, and certainly plan your trip ahead of time. And if that snow is causing any challenges, you'll know through Drive BC, and it would be a good idea to change your travel plans if at all possible. We have a question I see from Joe Fries from the Penticton Herald. Joe, go ahead, please.
Thank you. I guess probably this is for the RDOS, but going back to the very start, Amanda was talking about checking fridges and shocking wells, etc. I'm just trying to get a sense of the scope of how many people maybe you're doing that. Can you say roughly how many people are still displaced? How many properties have been suffered some level of damage? Can you just give us general sense of the scope of the disaster, please?
It's difficult to give you actual numbers at this point. I don't have them available at the moment, but certainly when I return to the Emergency Operations Center, I'll look in to see if we can, what data we can gather for you, and we'll send that out and make it available to the media. What we can say is that certainly, aside from Princeton and any other municipalities, within Electoral Area H, we know that there have been a number of homes in both Tulameen and Colmont that have these placards on them. Some have red, some have yellow, some have green. That can mean different things for different people. So we have some people who might be in their homes who have some debris on the floor, for example. And so and we haven't necessarily, the Emergency Operations Center hasn't necessarily heard from everyone who has had some flood damage. So hard to put those numbers together. We'll certainly look into it and get you something as soon as we can. The important message for anyone who is able to watch this and who is listening is to make sure, if you do have any concerns or challenges, if you haven't reached out yet, to contact the Emergency Operations Center if you need some supports. You can either phone 250-490-4225. That's 490-4225. Or, of course, as I mentioned earlier, the Resiliency Center is open again on Sunday to provide that information and the resources and support you need. So I can't answer your question right now, Joe, but I'll see what I can find out for you. All right, and just looking around to see if we have any other comments. Director Roberts, who is the Area G Director for Rural Keremeos, also happens to work, and you've mentioned this I know many times before, you work with Emergency Health BC, which used to be BC Ambulance Service. I think I got the name right. Did you want to just give us a comment quickly on what you're seeing in your region? Because you have spoken with a number of people who have been impacted by flooding, not just this time, but in past. But also you're dealing with some of the other issues that we may be seeing, crashes on the highway. Can you share any thoughts with us on what people should be keeping in mind at this difficult time?
Thank you. A lot of real positive information was given to us by Erick from Modi. That was about checking Drive BC, about the majority of people are slowing down on the highways and on the corridor. But we're still really witnessing the stress of people wanting to get to where they need to go, whether or not it's business or otherwise, the increase of transport trucks. So you have some people in transport units that are not unaccustomed to the smaller highway, driving a lot slower than normal, and of course dealing with the weather as it is being appropriate. And then you have other ones that, as alluded to the video, at the same time, small cars become frustrated as they're behind a train of vehicles. And sometimes if people let their emotions get away with them and become impatient, they make sometimes unsafe choices. So again, it's really important for people to slow down, realize what's truly important in life. And, my role as a paramedic has seen quite a few, as we know, especially at the initial onset of traffic issues that we lost a great deal of life in a short period of time through the corridor because of weather, et cetera, and the new traffic patterns. So again, it's being aware, taking time, making sure that your vehicle has blankets, a candle, additional goods, and to look after yourselves if you're stranded, to stay warm and safe, and extra time to get everywhere and anywhere. I think the majority, as it was stated by Eric with the Ministry of Transport, most people are. But again, all it takes is on one, there being only one corridor, all it takes is one issue to then back up and have people stranded anywhere along the highway. So it's important to be prepared.
Thank you, Director Roberts. I appreciate your thoughts and your comments. You hear people say this all the time. Getting there is more important than getting there first or getting there a little faster. Chelsea Powery with Castanet News has a question, and we'll bring her into the conversation now. Chelsea, go ahead, please.
Hi, my question's for Eric. Or not you, Eric, sorry, Eric with the Ministry of Transportation. Just wanted to clarify something from earlier about the number of vehicles every day on Highway 3. That's I think it was 1,300 vehicles, commercial vehicles rather, every day coming through. Is that the Princeton corridor heading from the Lower Mainland into Princeton?
They're both very similar, each direction. It is between Princeton and Hope on that corridor. I believe the numbers that I saw were about 1,190 in one direction and about 1,250 the other direction. So they're very, very close. And those are commercial vehicles only. Once again, it's about half that amount of passenger vehicles that are going through. So somewhere in that 600 to 700 range of passenger vehicles per day, each direction.
Okay. All right, thank you. And then you had mentioned something about 78% of those going northbound on 5A. So that would be coming from the Lower Mainland heading and taking that turn in Princeton up 5A.
That's correct. Yeah, and not too surprising when we kind of run the numbers on the different corridors for what we were expecting. It's mainly only the traffic that has a destination directly on Highway 3 or in that immediate area, perhaps going through as far as Lethbridge, that would save time by staying on Highway 3. For example, if your destination is anywhere north of there, like Calgary, then going up 5A will save a couple of hours by going across the Trans-Canada.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. And with that, unless anyone else wanted to jump in, I think we'll wrap it up here. I have a couple of final notes I'll mention for information purposes, but with that, I really do appreciate all of our guests, our panelists, including our media members who joined us with information today and questions as well. Looks like we don't have anyone else, so I will just mention a couple of things. The Tulameen Resiliency Center is open on Sunday, that's December 12th. It's open from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. That's at the Tulameen Community Center. There's resource information there. You can find lots of information, including information on immediate health and recovery needs, emergency support services, Canadian Red Cross, and disaster financial assistance. You can find that information. The focus on Sunday is recovery support. Building officials and restoration specialists will be available. They'll be assisting with tips and information for property owners who are in the process of remediating their property. Permanent residents who are unable to return due to flooding damage may continue to be supported by emergency support services. In that program, you'll be able to find out the specifics as it relates to you by attending that resiliency center if you live in that area. And the final note I'll leave you with then is, if you do have any questions, don't hesitate to call the Emergency Operations Center 250-490-4225. That's 490-4225, or visit the websites. We have two of them for you: the Emergency Operations Center website, emergency.rdos.bc.ca, and www.rdos.bc.ca. Again, thank you very much for joining us. I've been spending a lot of time in the last little while, along with a lot of my colleagues and partners working in the Emergency Operations Center, and I can tell you that there are a lot of dedicated people who are spending a lot of time away from their families and away from their homes so they can provide the support you need. And I wanted to give just a quick shout out, if I can, to some of those people. And I'm going to name one of them, and it's Ann Ben, who is the Emergency Program Coordinator with the Regional District of Okanagan-Similkameen. Her, along with Sean Vaisler, Mark Woods, and the other team members who are in that Emergency Operations Center day in and day out, do a lot of work. They're unsung heroes. They don't want the attention. They won't like that I mention their names, but they do go above and beyond, and we really appreciate that. So thanks again for joining us. And behind the scenes here, making this technical miracle work is Danny Francisco. So thanks to him as well. Thanks for joining us.